Hey, welcome to the Drip and Stone podcast, the podcast where two friends raise a glass and have a conversation. I'm Nick.
I'm Kyle.
Kyle!
Hey, man.
How are you?
So good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Awesome.
I don't know why I paused slightly.
I am
well.
Well. Yeah.
I'm doing well.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that.
Me too. There's been some sickness, some rough days here and there, but things are going pretty well.
That's good.
Yeah. It's sports season.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, there's a lot of really cool sports that are October is a big month for sports.
Yeah.
You got a lot of sports starting.
Yep.
You got a lot of sports ending.
Yep.
And right now there's a sport that I've grown to love.
Right.
That is in its final couple of weeks. By the time this episode comes out, final couple of weeks of play.
What is that?
That is the Rugby World Cup.
Right.
Yeah, you watch any of this?
I actually have.
Have you really?
Not full on matches, but I saw it we have access to YouTube TV.
Yeah.
And sports are what comes up first on just because of that's what I generally watch on there. That's the reason I've got access to it. And I had some matches that they were just right there. So I was like, oh, what is this?
We'll see what that's about.
It's rugby.
Yeah.
Sick.
That's really
so
cool.
Sat there and watched maybe 20 minutes of it. And it's just kind of fun too. Just, I don't know. I mean, we're big Anglophiles in our house. So it's fun to have just British language happening in the background, walking around the house. Yeah. It's just kind of fun.
I've watched some matches there's commentators for matches, and then there's been some matches that are the only real commentator is the official.
Right.
And there are a couple officials in rugby, but there's one main person who's officiating it. And this match that I watched, there was no commentators. It was just this person.
Epic.
And in your 20 minutes
that sounds
here and
amazing.
there,
I wish that's the way we did it here.
It's really cool because in rugby, the person officiating, I can't remember if they call them refs or not, but the person officiating also kind of functions as, I don't want to call him a coach, but as someone who is guiding players to do certain things, because the rules of rugby are very complicated.
Right.
So where there are a lot of penalties, but there are situations where a player could do a penalty and the officiant will say, the official officiating.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. Will say don't do that, or drop it.
Right.
It's that's
put
cool.
that down.
Yeah, no, literally.
Don't touch that.
Yeah, it's not your ball. It's not your ball.
Yeah.
Things like that, and it's kind of cool just to hear that, and then the roar of the crowd and everything going on.
Yeah,
yeah, it was a lot of fun. So I realized that the Rugby World Cup was happening this year, probably back in June or July, and it was because we were sitting in a pub in Ireland, and there was a commercial
for
or something, and I was like, oh, I'm for it.
Right.
But I made this whole rugby match thing. Here are the teams that I care about. Here's who I want to see.
You did that this year?
I did that this year.
Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
And had to borrow someone's Peacock account. Mm-hmm. Shout out to a good listener of ours.
Yep.
And that's how I watched all my rugby.
Epic.
Yeah. I rooted for this year. I kind of I picked teams I was really interested in.
Mm-hmm.
I was interested in New Zealand.
Yep.
I was interested in Ireland. I was interested in Scotland. And Wales here and there, depending on how they did.
Right.
But here recently, why I'm bringing this up, Ireland had a really tough match against New Zealand. In terms of us recording it was this past Saturday.
Right.
And man, it was a great rugby match. When you have two equally good teams against each other.
Right.
I love that because then you can see, and this is the goal of every kind of big, world stage event, Super Bowl or college football playoffs, that kind of thing. You're supposed to come up with the best two teams.
Right.
And I hate when you get there and it's just a blowout.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not really a sport at that point. It's just kind of a yawn.
I love it when both of these teams are playing their heart out.
Right.
To do the thing. And that's what happened.
Yeah.
Ultimately Ireland lost, which was very sad. I'm happy for New Zealand because I like New Zealand too, but Ireland was ranked number 1 and they, made some poor decisions, let some penalties slip by, let some yellow cards. Because in rugby, if you get a yellow card, a player has to sit out for 10 minutes. And that happened twice, and they still couldn't pull it off.
Right.
It was upsetting.
Right.
But it was a lot of fun. It was really cool. So I'm looking forward to how the rest of these matches play out. And by the time this releases, I think we'll be pretty close to the end. So we'll see.
How often do they play?
Generally play on the weekends.
Yeah.
And this started back early September. So
wow.
Yeah, it's
That's
been
a long playoff.
It goes on for I think 8 weeks in total.
Holy moly.
Yeah, something like that. So they start very similar to like World Cup and soccer and things like that. Like it's over a very long period of time.
Right.
But I bring that up because Kyle.
Yeah.
You want to drink something?
Yeah. Sounds great.
All right. Well, you got your cup of water. Well, I think it's ice now.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
Yeah. Just you got your cup of water over there. Cup of water?
Cup of water.
Cup of water. You got your cup of water over there. You'll be all right, right?
Thanks, man. Yeah, that'll be just fine.
That's it? That's all you want?
I mean, it's not all I want.
No.
But if that's all you got.
Well, it's not all I got because I got something here on the table.
Oh, well, then let's do that instead.
Okay, well, we can do it in addition to. How about that?
Yeah, that sounds good.
in case you need, your sip of water over there.
What you got?
This is a product of Ireland.
Even better.
And I acquired from a little store called Carry Out.
Carry Out.
And this
it's
store,
like a liquor store?
That's exactly what it is. It's cool. In Ireland, they have these things called off licenses. Mm-hmm. And I think that's most of Europe, I think. And an off license is like or some version of that, a store that you purchase a bottle or cans of stuff to drink off premise. And that's what they're licensed for. So it's called an off license.
Okay.
But anyway, but this is Carry Out Killarney. This was in Killarney.
Oh.
And that's where I found this bottle.
Nice.
But this is a bottle that is selected, that is an exclusive, and was curated by our friend, W.D. O'Connell, Dahi O'Connell himself.
Dahi did this?
Yeah, this is a Dahi bottle.
Fantastic.
And while it was in Ireland, like I knew I needed to purchase a Dahi bottle. Right. I actually found a couple in different places, and I think we've talked about this before, but some of it we had before, and I wanted something different than we have had. I wanted something along the lines of our prior tasting where we had all those like small little taster bottles, which we still have some of those. We still got some of those. You got to dip in those. But I figured that this is a full size 700 ml bottle. Right. This is the thing I'm going to bring back from Ireland specifically. Right. So I sought this out. I knew that he had just released it with Carry Out Killarney in celebration of their 20th anniversary. So I was like, Dahi, I'm buying that bottle. Right. And when I went to Dahi's facility, he told me about it, and I was like, that's the one I'm going to get.
That's what I'm going to get.
So guess what?
You got it.
I done got it.
Sweet.
Exactly. Yeah. You want me to read you some bottle words?
You know it.
This is a product of Ireland. W.D. O'Connell Whiskey Merchant, single malt Irish whiskey distilled at Great Northern, which is a distillery just north of Dublin. Okay. This was distilled in March of 2016. Okay, first it was distilled at Great Northern. Okay. It was initially matured in an ex-bourbon cask at Great Northern. Okay. Okay. And then what Dahi did with Carry Out Killarney and Western Herd is a brewery, is that Western Herd put their Imperial Stout in a Buffalo Trace cask. They initially made a beer in a Buffalo Trace cask. Okay. You with me? Yeah. They poured that beer out. Yeah. And they bottled that. You could actually buy that beer at Carry Out Killarney as well. And then what Dahi did is he put his single malt Irish whiskey into that cask. Cool. Which is super cool. In that case, theoretically, we should be getting some of the beery notes for the Imperial Stout from Western Herd, and we should probably be getting some of the Buffalo Trace notes in there as well. Interesting. On top of the single malt Irish whiskey from W.D. O'Connell. Fantastic. I know. I got some more words for you. Hit it. John Dickie Fleming and Dahi O'Connell are old friends and work colleagues, and they are both delighted to introduce to you their first ever whiskey collaboration together to celebrate Carry Out Killarney's 20th year in business. In the true spirit of bonding in Ireland, refilled casks from both parties were used to help create this rich, aromatic single malt. Sláinte, Dahi O'Connell. This comes in at 55% ABV. Excellent. I know. Nice. That's a little punch. Woohoo. Matured and selected and bottled by O'Connell Whiskey Merchants, the Workhouse in Kilmacthomas County, Waterford, Ireland, a product of Ireland. I just want to look at this thing, man. You can see little chunky bits in there. Yeah. Yeah. Bring it on. I know. This is bottle 94. They had a bunch of bottles on the their little display there, and I thought about going through and figuring out which bottle I wanted, but figuring out a special number. But right. Nah, I just grabbed one and ran. I did pay for it. Carry Out. Oh, I promise. Nice. Yeah. But if you look at, we got the regular single grain Irish whiskey, the 10-year from Dahi here on the table as well. That actually comes from Cooley Distillery, which is just right down the road, basically. Right. So anyway, shall we crack into it? Cool. Let's do it. Ooh. Little pop there. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. It's been opened slightly. This was my birthday pour this year. Nice. Yeah. For you, sir. Thank you, sir. Ooh.
It's got a nice dark color on it for an Irish.
Yeah, it definitely does. It's I mean, you can tell it's been aged in some bourbon cask, to me anyway.
Right.
And it's non-chill filtered, and man, looking through that,
Yeah, she hazy.
yeah, you can tell it's definitely non-chill
She's a little
filtered.
cloudy. That's cool.
All right, swirling in the Glencairn here, it's surprisingly thin in terms of like the viscosity, because like when I think of like you've put it in an imperial stout barrel, you've aged it in some Buffalo Trace stuff, like I'm thinking this thing's gonna be thick, but the legs on it definitely are.
Right.
Yeah, the legs are really slow, but the liquid itself looks a little thin.
Right.
On the nose?
To the nose.
My God.
It smells to me like an Irish that was aged in a bourbon barrel.
It definitely
like
does.
it's Irish with like darker, kind of deeper, sugary notes in it.
Yeah, there's some like if I'm thinking of an imperial stout, you get those like really dark caramel, just thick, dark, sugary notes, and like that is all over this nose, man.
Perhaps like a touch like malty.
Oh, definitely. In the way that like an imperial stout can be slightly boozy, it's a different kind of boozy than a whiskey's boozy.
Right.
And I'm getting more of that boozy beer note rather than like boozy Irish whiskey note. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, but it's just weird how much that like dark malty, caramelly, like dark caramelly note is like washed over, and then there's like the Irish, all the the normal Irish notes that you think about are kind of like hiding underneath all that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that because this is a single malt, I expected to have, those just rich malty notes, and they are there.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's like they're cranked up too because you've aged it within a imperial stout cask as well.
Right.
Man, I'm detecting a little bit of horse afterbirth. Yeah, you don't get the horse afterbirth? That's a recall joke. No,
I just watched City Slickers not that long ago.
God.
That was cow afterbirth.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was a horse, right?
That movie holds up really well.
Yeah, it does. But it's because I think it's because of Billy Crystal.
Well, I think it's just how they made movies.
Sure.
At that point in time.
Sure.
Where it was, it wasn't fantastical. It was like they had a funny idea of a story to tell, but they also still made it very relatable and like of that day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Watching it the other day was like, huh. Like he's turning 39 in the first one.
Yeah.
And so it's just like everything that like he's going through and shit's just like, wow, like I'm dealing with all that same shit right now. That's crazy. Like not the like, I got the cashier pregnant and she shows up at my friend's birthday party. Not that aspect of it, but like just like all the like, the existential stuff that like,
Wow.
I need you to go like find a way to be happy. Like all that kind of stuff was just kind of like, wow, that's deep.
Yeah. What I also like about the nose here is that not that I think that single malt Irish whiskey has many bitey notes. Like it tends to be more well-rounded to me, but this is just like it's taking any sort of notes that would really stand out and poke out and just like smoothing them over in a great way.
Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing too bright, nothing too bitter or sharp, anything like that. It's all very just like soothed.
Yeah, I'm getting like some cherry cordial notes, and honestly, this like interesting tea note. Like you open a tin of like loose leaf black tea.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm ready to put it in my mouth.
Shall we?
Yeah,
going in.
Man, that is so dark and rich.
The proof done snuck up on me a bit.
Yeah,
rich is perfect. Like I will say, it is definitely on the sugary end. Like there's a lot of that like pronounced sugar or pronounced like dark sugar note for me.
Man, now that you've said it, like on the palate, that cherry cordial is like popping really hard for me.
Yeah, but it's weird that it's not cherry like maraschino cherry. It's cherry like you got a homemade cherry cordial or homemade what Queen Anne cherry. Is that's what they are, right?
Yep, those chocolate covered cherries.
Yeah. And then there's like
that weird milky inside.
Yeah.
Milk. That weird just
cream
sweet
center. Yeah. I don't know what that thing is.
It's like
it's like icing sort of.
Yeah. Like glazy kind of a thing.
Wow. it's not super pronounced cherry, but it's like the amalgamation of all of those things.
Sure.
That really dark, lovely imperial stout note that you get there at the end kind of holds that all up and just like caresses you into happiness.
Yeah, into your happy place.
Well, it caresses your happy place into another happy place.
Yeah, it caresses your happy place and then pops it.
On the butt cheeks.
Yeah,
I'm getting like some hay notes too. You ever been in a field where it's just been mowed, like a big pasture kind of thing?
Sure.
Like that fresh hay note.
Yeah.
that fresh hay smell, or
Yeah.
like you walk into a barn where the hay is dried for a little while.
Yep, for sure. Man, that's delightful.
Yeah, it really is. So when I packed my bags coming back from Ireland, Carol and I each took a rather large bag, and because of the way our tickets worked, we could have brought 2 bags each in addition to our carry-ons.
Right.
But we decided backpacks and 1 big bag each. And because I bought this bottle along with the Crook Mona.
But you got that. You didn't get that at the airport.
No, I got
You got
that.
yours at them.
Yeah, I got that at some store in Dublin.
Right.
Like that put my bag a good kilo or 2 over. So
Right.
I was that person in the airport, like dumping crap out of my bag and shove it into my backpack. I'm like, well, we'll make it happen.
We're making it work.
Yeah. I think I took like a pair of shoes out and like strapped them in my backpack. I'm like, anybody got duct tape? I duct tape it in my backpack. I'm like, these bottles are coming home. I'll leave this other shit here. Like,
Yeah,
I don't care.
need clothes.
Yeah,
I'll buy more when I get home.
Exactly.
I got 10 more gray shirts at home. I can leave these 5 here.
Exactly. Why'd I bring steel toe boots? I don't understand. Man, this is fantastic. What I love about this kind of thing too is that these are the boundaries that I want whiskey to push. And I know that we've talked about this with Dahi, but like that's what makes me so interested in what he's doing specifically.
Right.
Because it's not just, hey, here's our single grain 10 year. I mean, he's got that. It's not just here's the bill fill. It's here are other things that we're experimenting with, and he's not afraid to experiment.
Yeah. And I guess that's just like the benefit of being more immersed in the culture of it. Where could we go locally here?
Yeah.
There's just nothing like, I'm sure there probably is something happening up in Kentucky or somewhere in Tennessee where they're doing something similar, but like you just can't get your hands on it.
It's clear just in conversations we've had and conversations that I had when visiting Dahi that like Irish whiskey is sacred, but it's not so sacred that we can't mess with it.
Sure.
And that's the problem that bourbon has, or a lot of people think about bourbon is like, this thing is sacred.
Yeah.
We can't mess with it. And I got the sense just in terms of being in Ireland and experiencing a bunch of different Irish whiskey that this is something that we love. This is something that's near and dear to our heart, but it's also something that we want to see evolve.
Right.
It's something that is very distinctly Ireland, but that doesn't mean that it can't shape and evolve. And
Yeah.
I love that.
I mean, I think around here it's what breweries do.
Absolutely.
It's like, here, we're going to try to make this thing, but it doesn't have the, I guess, experimental process of like,
Sure.
all right, but we still have our base thing. Now we're going to try to take that and alter it through aging and cask maturing and things like that to tweak it. I guess it's kind of a similar thing, but we just don't get it with whiskey as much here.
And I think people are so hesitant, and rightly so to some degree. Distilleries are hesitant because it's
a big investment.
It's an investment.
Yeah.
If you're not doing smaller batches or you're not experimenting with other things in maybe even smaller quantities, or you're not willing to produce a product and like, hey, this thing was fine.
Right.
Or like was it the Claire to Here that we did with Dahi a couple months ago? That like this thing was aged in this thing, and like we didn't know what it would be, and then like, oh, it's actually pretty good.
Or I feel like he had a story for us where it was like we did this thing and we did that to it, and then we tried it and it was awful. We didn't like it. So then we were like, let's now put it over here in this thing and age it for a little bit longer.
Might be what it was, yeah.
And then when they got through with it there, it was like, whoa, that fixed it.
Yeah.
And it was like, great.
Whereas
and it's like, man, what a fuck ton of fun.
Yeah,
that must
exactly.
be. And have the casks and everything to do it, to be able to play around with it and try the stuff.
Right.
That's got to be so cool.
Like I weirdly wish more distilleries would do it. And I also hope that not many distilleries do it, because that sets these really cool distilleries and these really cool independent bottlers apart, because like you're the ones doing the interesting work.
Right.
And maybe that's just it. Maybe that's how it should be approached. It's the realm of the independent bottler. It's the realm of the renegade distiller to do those kinds of things.
Right. Well, and that's where like the artistry comes even more
absolutely
prevalent in the whole process of not just like the artistry in the distilling, but then like the artistry in the aging and the
sure,
the things that you can do with it. Super cool.
I agree. Dahi, again, what a fantastic product.
Yeah, that's cool.
You know the only problem is though that as of right now we can't get more W.D. O'Connell whiskey here in the States. I know that they've got some things working, but that's the only problem right now.
Except for like, isn't he up north?
Yeah, well, I mean, there are a few states that you can get W.D. O'Connell products. California, I think Maryland, maybe Massachusetts.
Right.
Not here currently.
Oh yeah, not in Florida.
And I know that Dahi's working on some things to get those products here. But man, if you're in a state that has W.D. O'Connell, what are you doing? Go buy the whole damn store.
Man, we just
the whole damn case. We actually looked into sending some bottles to Dahi, and the American government went, nah, sir. Like,
you ain't doing that.
I don't even think I told you this. Like, to the point of I went to several different shipping places. They all went, nah.
We ain't touching that.
Yeah. And so I went, well, what if I don't tell you what's in this box? And they went, that's a federal crime. And I went,
fair enough.
Okay.
We won't be doing that.
Yeah. But it doesn't work the same way his way to us.
Right.
Or Ireland to us.
Right.
Which is weird. I don't understand how that works.
Well, it's very much like, I feel like the
should we
same
mention
thing.
that on?
No, probably not. But I think it's like also very similar to how, flying over there, they're like, we don't care. Just come on, get on the plane.
Yeah.
We don't care.
Yeah.
Where, here we're like, strip down.
Yeah.
Then we're going to x-ray you.
Yeah. Literally the process in Italy to go from Italy. I mean, you've done this. The process to go to Italy to Ireland, they were like,
yeah, go ahead. Come on. Do I need to take off my shoes? No. Keep your shoes on.
I don't want to smell that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, keep your belt on. Jeez.
You want some more of that?
Sure.
Okay.
It's so unique as an Irish to be that flavorful, but like have so many interesting new different things. Like I can't, off the top of my head right now, I can't really think of a just straight up Irish that I've had where it's that unique and different. Like I feel like Irish is usually so kind of like, yep, there's your sugar cookie notes, your shortbreads, all that kind of stuff. Creaminess in a way.
Yeah. I'm with you. Like
for this to be this kind of unique and different is like just love it.
Quintessential. This is not, and I love it for that.
Yeah.
Like you can tell, like absolutely, this is a single malt Irish whiskey, and yet there's some different funky things going on here in the best way possible.
I mean, I think you could confuse me otherwise. I don't know that I'd necessarily be able to peg that as like, yep, that's Irish.
That's a good point.
There's like something to the sweetness that almost like takes it into that raisin category.
Yep.
That I would be kind of thinking like, yeah, no, maybe this is just like some kind of a alternate Scotch or something.
I mean, I could be convinced of a Scotch. Definitely, I could be convinced of even just a straight sweet American bourbon.
Sure.
And what I love about it is the proof cuts through that sweetness in the best way.
Yeah.
I mean, that's always my problem with something sweet is like, cool, sweet. What else you got? But here, because you have the bitter notes of the Imperial Stout, you have the roasty
proof, malty notes.
Yeah, and the proof going on all day. Man.
Yeah, really good.
All right.
Yeah, I just wish we could find more interesting stuff like that.
It's out there, but it's not in the bourbon world.
It's just not. I just mean in America.
Well, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like
we just don't have a interesting Irish and Scotch culture.
Yeah.
And so when you do find a place that has it, they still just kind of have all
the same stuff,
the basic stuff.
I agree. So I figured this week we should pair our W.D. O'Connell Carry Out Killarney exclusive with a conversation about something that is also near and dear to the heart of our friend Dahi O'Connell.
What's that?
That's Star Wars.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. He always likes to chime in on Star Wars.
So we're going to discuss a little show that just ended a couple weeks ago in terms of this recording.
Yep.
And that's Ahsoka.
Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Just wrapped.
Yep.
How many episodes was it?
8.
8 episodes.
Yeah, 8 episodes.
Yeah, just wrapped them up. We should talk about it.
I'm for it.
Just like we always do.
Absolutely.
Something happens in Star Wars, man. We gotta talk about that shit.
And as we do, we're going to give it the Drip and Stone treatment. What do you think? Talk about things we liked, what we didn't like, kind of thoughts overall. If you want a deep dive into Ahsoka, there are podcasts specifically for that.
Sure.
This is not that podcast.
Yeah, not too deep of a dive.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to nerd out, well, first of all, I'm going to push up my glasses.
Yeah, I do that constantly.
Yeah, I'm nerding out.
Yeah.
But
get your nerd on.
yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that, and I'm going to. But again, this is not a full, complete dive into Ahsoka.
Gotcha.
Because it's a Drip and Stone treat. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Yeah. So first of all, initial thoughts: like it, didn't like it, love it. Otherwise, go.
For me personally, like, I would side somewhere on the I liked it side.
Okay.
But I also am like very comfortable in the it was okay
Interesting.
area.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like there wasn't anything for me like, for it to be titled Ahsoka. To me, it should have been titled Rebels.
Okay.
Season 5 or season 4.
Okay.
Season 5.
Yeah.
Because to me, it was certainly like Ahsoka was the main character-ish, but like there's also like at least one episode where like I don't even know that she was in it for more than the opening scene.
Yeah.
So it wasn't necessarily like Ahsoka focused. I didn't feel like. I feel like it was more of a continuation of several stories, whereas I would have been totally cool for it to have just been more Ahsoka at this point in where we understand where everything is in the Star Wars universe.
Right.
I was hoping it was going to be more Ahsoka focused and tell me where has her journey taken her. Like maybe we could have seen some flashbacks of like when she had to leave the Order and some of the things that she had to do. Like I would have been totally cool with that and see how do we get to the point where when we meet up with her in The Mandalorian.
Right.
But no, it pretty much just picked up right from Rebels season 4 where they ended right there and just continued the story there.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I was a little bit disappointed just because I wanted more Ahsoka because I think her character is really cool, but it was just kind of more generally Rebels focused.
So for me, and I have opinions on everything you just mentioned.
Yep.
I really enjoyed it, and I did not expect to.
Oh, cool.
I don't know if I go so far as to say love. It's right behind Mando season 1 for me. Like
wow.
It's one of the
just
best
in terms of like what they've done on Disney Plus.
You're right. It is one of the better things that I have seen out of this Disney Plus series.
Gotcha.
And I love that Mando season 1, so that's going to be tough to top.
Oh yeah, for sure. Agreed.
For me, everything you just mentioned, I really don't have a relationship with. Like I thought I watched Rebels, but what I actually watched was Clone Wars. And for some reason, like I never picked up Rebels, even though in my mind I did that thing of like I've seen that. Oh yeah, I've definitely seen that.
Right, sure.
But I actually didn't. So
we've definitely had conversations on this podcast where I would say something about Rebels and you would say like, yeah, I saw that, but then you would say something else and I would always be like,
no.
I don't think you did.
Yeah, no. And weirdly, like I just realized that recently.
Right.
Because like in my mind, I don't know why I did this, but like I conflated Rebels and Clone Wars.
Right.
And like I knew that they were two different things, but for whatever reason, they just like occupied the same space in my mind. It's like Mandela effect.
That makes so much sense now.
So like I have almost no relationship with this character.
Gotcha.
And so everything
not with Ahsoka, because if you saw Clone Wars, you saw a lot of Ahsoka.
Yeah, but like in terms of like the Rebels Ahsoka, in Rebels that she leaves, she's more apart from Anakin, right?
Yeah, because Anakin's dead at that point.
Right.
Well, not dead.
Well,
but they have a confrontation
right
at one point in time in season 2, I think. But yeah, like she's completely separated from him.
So I know nothing of that part of the character. Like obviously, yes, Clone Wars, you see her with Anakin, Padawan,
right?
But I know nothing of that afterwards. So like when I first saw Ahsoka and Mando season 2, I was like, ugh. I think I said this in our review of that or our discussion of it. Like I was not a fan of that character for a multitude of reasons. Character design, the weird hair stuff,
which I feel like they fixed.
They definitely fixed
a bit.
Yeah,
definitely not as bad.
Yeah, no, and I did not jive with that character for whatever reason. And I know that like you included, people were like, oh my God.
Oh yeah.
It's Ahsoka. And I'm like,
I was hyped.
Okay, like, sure. So of the people that I've talked to, there seems to be two separate camps. The people who like just love Ahsoka as a character from Rebels and Clone Wars. And then the people who are like, I know who this character is, but I don't really have an affinity or any real connection. And it's interesting that what I've noticed is that the people who have like a diehard affinity for didn't like Ahsoka as much, but the people who didn't really have a relationship actually really liked Ahsoka.
Sure.
And I think I'm in that latter camp.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I will say that, like, I don't think that character is super good in this series, but what they're doing as a whole, she is the catalyst for all of the narrative.
Yeah, I suppose she is, but at the same time, it's like, but she doesn't have to be. And I
Correct.
think that kind of bums me out.
See, and for me, I'm just like,
yeah, like,
okay.
I mean, what was so exciting about when she showed up in Mandalorian is I think right around that same time, maybe like literally just before that, they had released the proper finale for the Clone Wars, which was season 7.
Right.
I think they had just released. It was like a it was like a mini series almost, like maybe like 7 episodes or something like that.
It was like well after the fact.
But holy moly, like the last 4 were like insanely good, and like they put so much work into it, like it looked cinematic for that animated series. And so then when you got to see her show up there, it was like cool. It was like that's where we're going to.
Right.
But yeah, like what you're saying in terms of like she's the catalyst of it. I suppose she is, but at the same time, like I feel like you're not really utilizing her specifically in a way that makes it more about her.
Yeah.
It almost could just be anybody kind of figuring all this stuff out.
And I have an argument for that. And I think that's related to her, and this is what you figure out in this series. It's related to her inability to escape her past. Like all the things that she's gone through, like it's all of the kind of trauma that we associate with, kind of just growing older and realizing, where you are and you're older now and the things that have happened. And she has to confront all of those things in relation to a surrogate family that is now gone, in relation through the rebel group, in relation to now this entire galaxy that is completely different because you have the empire that's imploded.
Right.
And so it's like she's trying to figure out her space within this. And it creates to me this character that's almost bitter, might not be right, but just nonchalance in the worst way of like, here I am still doing the thing. Like that part of it could be any character, could be anyone.
Right.
But she's the connecting force between, see what I did there? She's the connecting force between all of these other characters that's actually the story. It's not her, it's that she's the connection between those other things, other people, I guess.
Yeah. And I would totally agree. And I think maybe that's what you're saying between the two camps of like, that's why I didn't necessarily enjoy it as much. It was just kind of like, okay,
sure.
But I would have liked to see like when Ahsoka leaves the Jedi Order, you certainly are given this like sense that she's about to go reach another plane.
Right.
Like she's about to go have a greater understanding that goes beyond the Jedi. And she even there's a weird series, like a couple episodes where they go meet these like Jedi like gods, more or less like the Force gods that they end up referencing in that last episode of Ahsoka, where like the life force of the light side of the Force puts herself inside of Ahsoka. Oh. Like Ahsoka is like at this point the manifestation of the light side of the Force. And so
interesting. I don't get that at all.
Well, so that's what I was saying. Like, you have this expectation that at some point in time, Ahsoka is going to be this like huge character, like meaningful, like monumental character. So like at this point in time, it's like, okay, when are we going to get there? Because they keep teasing it. Like there's this owl that is the kind of the symbol of that light side of the Force being that is always kind of following her, and you always kind of see it referenced in places. In Rebels, when they go into that whole weird outside of time place, I forget what they call it, but that owl's there with her. And then you see it in The Mandalorian, that owl's referenced there. So there's just this kind of constant like, all right, when are we going to see this, like, this other great knowing? And that they tease it with, like, her apparel too in Rebels season 4 when she shows up at the end, which is what she's kind of wearing almost throughout this episode. She's kind of dressed up like Gandalf the White.
Kind of, yeah.
So you're expecting, like, she's had some great epiphany, some great understanding of the Force now. Cool, I want to see that.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm referencing.
She still kind of keeps, like, fumbling through stuff.
Yeah,
at the
that's
same
what I'm
time.
referencing. Like, I feel like it's her trying to figure out whatever new section she's in, new station in life, maybe.
Right.
Because it's like, from what I know of Ahsoka, what I've seen in Clone Wars, and what, I did some background research before watching Ahsoka, it's like this character is badass. And it's almost like this character in this series is badass, but with like kid gloves, or like just a huge deference to everything, or like, I could be great, but like right now, I'm just here.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you are to some degree, quote unquote, the hope of the Jedi, or even something more than that, you should be like cool as hell. And you're just kind of mopey.
Yeah. I mean, at this point in time, like, she should, be rather old. Like, I mean, her character, I guess, should be quite, I don't mean old in like a sense of like she should be like in her 80s. I mean, like, which she might be. I mean more like just, you should be super wise.
Right.
Like, you should be very, enlightened.
Well, and that against freaking Luke Skywalker in Mandalorian. Like, that character is guru status then.
Right.
And like, they try and do that with Return of the Jedi. Like, he starts to become that a little bit.
Right.
But you don't really see that coming to fruition. And then by the time you get to Force Awakens, he's kind of dick Luke Skywalker.
Right. He's given up on it.
Yeah. So like, you see, Yogi Luke Skywalker in Mandalorian, and you almost see, I get the sense of like, Ahsoka's like, oh, those guys. And maybe it's that because she left the order, that she's like, I don't know yet. I don't know how deep I want to go into that, which is maybe her hesitancy for not fully accepting Sabine as her Padawan again.
Right.
And I don't know. It's this like hesitancy that creates such a distance in the character that I'm like, you should be just cool as hell, and you're not now.
Knowing the experiences that she's had and all this kind of stuff, and like, again, how they finished her off in Clone Wars.
Uh-huh.
Like, Ahsoka is like, again, you think she's like this next level,
right?
Enlightened Force user. I don't even want to use the word Jedi, because like, she's not.
Right.
So to see them kind of like almost like taking some of that back and almost like kind of nerfing her a bit, as if she doesn't have all these enlightened understandings of the Force, there's just kind of like, why are y'all doing this? Why
make her so
whole
jaded?
This whole season, it feels like she's still learning.
Right.
Like, she still has like things to understand, and that's fair, because certainly that's a part of life. Like, you're never done learning. But there's also like just show me like that she's a badass.
Yeah.
Because she
give me something. And you get glimpses, like really tiny little glimpses, but nothing that's like, oh.
Well, and that's another like thing that made me mad is the fighting choreography was never,
it's a little
to
slow.
The point. Yeah, it was never to the point of like, we're used to seeing Ahsoka like so fast with these crazy flips and stuff. It was like very much that prequel era Jedi, gymnast style of fighting.
Did you see John Wick 4?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So if you're, and I've become a fan of the John Wick movies, but seeing that all of the John Wick movies in fairly quick succession for me, because I didn't watch them when they first came out.
Right.
So I watched only within the last couple of months, and then I watched John Wick 4 on a plane recently. And like, by the time you get to John Wick 4, he's a little slower.
Yeah.
Like, things
are
like
a little too mapped out.
It's a little too mapped out, too choreographed. And it's like, nah, if that guy wanted to shoot you in the face, like, he would have already done so 6 times by now, John.
Right.
And I don't know if that's a product of like Keanu getting older, or a product of like, all of these
out of ideas,
or all. And to be fair, like, I've loved the John Wick movies. But like, you maybe you're trying to portray that all of these people are just beat to hell, maybe.
Right.
But like I felt that same way with Ahsoka. It's
I
like
did too, man.
it's just a little too slow.
Yeah.
Yeah, like and maybe it's because she's older, but like that quippy wittiness that you get in Clone Wars, and the same of the snapshots of Rebels that I watched just to prepare for this, like she's devoid of any of that.
Right.
It's just like almost stoic.
Yeah.
And even despite that, I still really liked it.
Yeah.
Can I tell you why?
Yeah.
You know how many times you were on freaking Tatooine? Guess.
0.
0. Correct.
Yeah.
Freaking no Tatooine. That's why this is great.
Nah.
I disagree. Point number one.
That can't be enough.
No,
that's definitely a point
that's
in its
all
favor.
I need. Yeah.
I'll give you that, but I can't. That's not the.
I mean, it's not all I need, but like I didn't see any damn sand on Tatooine.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I am okay.
Yeah.
Not that I have anything against Jawas or Tusken Raiders, but there is nary a Jawa nor Tusken Raider in this damn thing.
Yeah.
And I was okay.
Agreed. No moisture evaporators.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And it was great because of that. Like the set design of this, gorgeous. And again, we're filming in that weird like 360,
The void, or whatever they call it.
the void. I forget what they call it.
Yeah.
But it's clear that we're filming in that. But
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. And how many different set pieces we have.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like they're at Lothal at the beginning, and then
they go to the Imperial junkyard, which is cool as hell. Which I forget, is that in Lothal? No, that's
oh right, they go to that other planet that kind of looked like foresty, and that's where they eventually like hyperspaced away.
Yep. CTOS.
And then they go to the other galaxy.
Yep.
Right.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's clear, like, I don't know exactly where they're filming this, but it's very Northern Ireland.
Nordic.
Yeah. Maybe like, Sweden or
Craggy,
whatever. Yeah.
mountainous.
And I love that. You know why? Because it's not sand.
Right. It's different.
I hate sand.
Yeah.
It gets everywhere else, course.
Yeah, we all hate it too, man.
That, to me, awesome.
Yeah, agreed. I like the settings and just like the general feel of everything was pretty great.
You know what else is great? Lightsaber battles in dark places. Sign me up.
Sure.
I love that. That's what I loved about, was it Obi-Wan?
Probably.
Where you have the battle with Darth Vader?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Throwing rocks at each other.
Yeah. Gorgeous.
Yep.
Like, just give me the lightsaber moving across someone's face in darkness, and I love it.
Right.
I want more of that.
Yep.
And I know at some point I'd be like, I don't want any more of that.
Yep. Done. Like I need bright lights.
But it's gorgeous.
Yeah. I just wish they were better. Like I agree, like they were better in like the setting, like the tone of everything was good. But like the lightsaber battles to me, like all of them were kind of like right off the bat, didn't like that Sabine got stabbed through the chest, and it's like, no big deal.
Yeah.
You'll be all right.
You got stabbed when
that fucking happened to Qui-Gon. He's dead in minutes.
Yeah.
He must have just hit an artery.
Every stormtrooper that you dead.
Yeah.
And like she she's alive.
That was one of my favorite things was the zombie troopers.
Oh, that was pretty cool.
I liked the style of them. I like that gold crack painting all over all of them, the fabric tying them all together. I loved the witches. Loved all that stuff. I liked all the lore that they were adding to everything.
Yeah.
I wish it was able to expand a little more in those ways and not be so connected to Rebels.
See, and that to me, like, real quick, that lore part, that is the stuff that, like, I think you're going to find that Star Wars expands more into, is the, like, I don't want to say religious perspectives, but the, like, the spiritual side of those things. And where do we get, where does the Force come from? It's not, the midichlorians, but I think it's in that same kind of vein of, like, obviously the Jedi are just a small sect of what goes on.
Right.
And the dark and light side is so reductionistic that, like, there are so many nuances in dark and light here.
Right.
And that's what I like about what they did here.
Yep.
Is that, like, now you see this, like, coven, basically, of Force witches.
Right.
And they're being used by the remnants of the Empire. That's cool.
For sure. And, like, I loved the Balin aspect of it, where it's like he's neither Jedi nor Sith. He's somewhere on that spectrum. of where do you fall?
He's sword for hire, but more towards the dark, but
yeah,
also not really.
leaning dark. But like Ahsoka is also like she leans light, but she's not pure light because she's willing to like slam somebody up against a rock.
Yeah,
you know, if they need to.
And that's what I like that, you know, you don't see in the main storyline is that like these people are either bad or they're good.
Right.
To be fair, they deal with it a little bit in the newer trilogy because like Kylo Ren kind of occupies some of that a little bit. Like he's bad, but then
you see him battling it at least.
Right. But like
his actions speak otherwise.
Correct.
But you see like the
inner monologue.
Yeah,
kind
tug
of stuff.
of war.
Right. But this, like, you have gray area characters.
Right.
And
yeah, I loved like the orange lightsaber. Oh, it's not full red.
Yeah.
But it's also not blue or green. Like, you know, it's not. I'm definitely pushing this way. Like, have you watched the episodes of Clone Wars where they go to to visit the Force gods, the Father, the Son, and the Daughter?
That does not sound familiar.
So at the very end of that last episode, like Balin, he's standing on that statue.
Mm-hmm.
Like that statue carved into that mountainside, that is the Father.
Oh, the Lord of the Rings reference. Got it. Yeah.
Sure. But he's the Father. To his side, I believe, like, so he's got his kids to his side of him. Mm-hmm. There's the son and the daughter, and the son and the daughter represent the dark side and the light side of the Force. And the Father is like the all-knowing.
Gotcha.
And so
that's how we get to Mordor.
Well, but that's what he's referencing as like there's something else out here calling me. And that's why he sends her away. He's got this mission that he himself is on personally.
So how are they on this planet in another galaxy though? You don't have to explain all that.
Like, how did they get there?
Though,
how are the Force go? Well, I mean, it's the Force. It's not required to stay in this galaxy.
Sure.
It's everywhere. That's why these witches are out there. And these witches eventually, I guess using the whales, get to the prime galaxy.
Yeah.
Because like these witches are the same race as Darth Maul.
Right.
So like, but anyway, I was like, that was like one of the coolest like needle drops for
Absolutely.
me of like seeing that statue, that's what he's somehow being called by this. And like there's all these really cool theories of like, so in Clone Wars, Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, and Anakin go to this planet and they meet these people.
Right.
And there's like this huge, like crazy, like altercation. And like, because Anakin is who he is, like he is the chosen one. The three deities know that he's the chosen one. And they have this conversation and like the son tries to manipulate him and bring him to the dark side earlier. The daughter kind of works more through Obi-Wan and like is like letting him know like you can't let him fall to the dark side. And so like it's such a cool, like it's like a 3-episode little arc. But within it, like the son ends up manipulating Ahsoka and turns her bad, and like she ends up fighting Anakin, and Anakin like mortally wounds her, I think, and she's about to die, but like the son attacks Ahsoka and like mortally wounds her. The daughter gives her life to save Ahsoka. Like there's these crazy, like really, you know, mythological level stuff happening. And so to get that referenced in this live action thing was just like, oh, yeah. I would love for y'all to like really just go nerdy there.
A character that I liked, I don't know how they're going to proceed, is Ray Stevenson's character, Balin Skull.
Yeah.
Like, unfortunately, pretty soon after this wrapped, he passed away.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah, way before the release.
Yeah. So like whatever cool storyline they're gonna do with that, like can you recast that guy? He has such a specific look. It's like striking features. Or do you like just kind of leave that thread of like dude's off doing something we don't know where he is?
Nah, they'll recast him.
You think so?
Personally, I don't think it's to the point that you can't recast it. I mean, if you can recast Rhodey,
sure.
Dumbledore, Dumbledore. Like I mean, there's big enough, huge enough characters that they've done that with. I think you can do that without too much difficulty.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I think I loved his character. I think he did such an amazing job with it. I'm obviously like devastated that he's no longer going to be able to do it, but I think they clearly were setting up some really big things to be happening that they're not just going to be like, we just have to leave that alone.
What did you think of Obi-Wan's wife?
Obi-Wan's wife. Give me some detail on that.
Ewan McGregor is married to Syndulla.
Oh, didn't know that.
Yeah.
Didn't know like that was the thing.
So I wonder if that's a little bit of a hey. But what did you think of Syndulla?
I liked Hera. The episodes that she was in were totally like kind of like fine. I don't know. Like, I mean, I think her biggest episode was kind of the one where Ahsoka was off in that other world, that Jedi realm, the Force realm.
Somehow beneath the waves, but not within the waves, but like in the water, but not in the water.
Well, so like I've referenced that place before, and that's what I was saying earlier.
Yeah, I know. When
and like you were talking it to me, I was like,
oh yeah,
like you understood, and I was like, dude, they time traveled in that shit.
I have no real reference of that. And like
in Rebels, they go to that place.
Nope.
So in Rebels, Ezra goes to that realm on his own accord, and I really almost kind of expected them to use that as like as some sort of like a Easter egg or something that they were going to use to like tie into the sequel trilogy that they never did. That at least I didn't really pick up on it, or I haven't seen anybody else pick up on it. I don't know. They did some weird stuff, and I think that just plays into like my whole argument of like there's all this bigger level shit that's out there that they are poking at, but they just won't unload on us.
So I wonder if that's like the Mando season 2 kind of scenario of like, we're gonna give you this character to feel it out, and then we're gonna throw more at you. Throw even like, oh wait, here's how all these pieces start to fit together.
Right.
And that's kind of what they started to do in Mando season 2. Like Mando season 1 is straight up Western. Like, here you go, Wolf and Cub Western.
Right.
And you're like, okay, so how does this connect to everything? You start to get that in season 2. So I wonder if that's the case.
Right.
I got one more question for you.
Okay.
Space whales.
Yep.
Thoughts?
I like them.
Me too.
Yeah. I love Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Uh-huh.
And in that realm of like the people learned airbending from different animals. Like they learned firebending from dragons. They learned earth bending from these like weird moles. I think it's a cool take of like, oh yeah, no, like there's these animals that can light speed.
Hyper speed.
Yeah, they can travel at light speed plus. Like, and the fact that it's like, okay, well, if they can do it, obviously there's got to be a way for us to figure that out. And so I thought that was really cool.
I thought it was cool too in both
again, they're introduced in Rebels.
Right. That I haven't seen. That clearly, like, I'm telling you, man, like, I wonder if it's just one of those things of like, because I've been around you and like I've heard so much of this, I just think that I've done
absorbed it. Yeah.
So the space whales to me is like a little bit of the woo woo kind of like, whoa, kind of weird. Mm-hmm. But also the more I think about it, initially I was like, the science of this makes zero sense at all. Like whales in space. I'm like, but come on, Nick. It's Star Wars.
They glow and they take off.
Whatever. Yeah. Come on, put your science brain aside. But then I was like, actually, this makes sense though. Because if we think of like the majority of the technologies that we as humans have developed, it's because of what you just said.
Right.
We've looked at, wow, that bird can fly. How can I do that?
Yeah, sir. There's got to be a way I can do it. Yeah.
Or you know, like that creature survived poisoned by this other creature. How can we do that too?
Right.
So like, it makes sense that the natural world, I'm going to include space whales in the natural world.
Yeah.
The natural world influences the human world.
Right.
And like, that actually makes sense to me.
Yeah. I loved Hayden Christensen coming back again.
Absolutely did too.
And he crushed it.
Agreed.
Like I loved every that whole episode, that like the big one, where he's heavily featured through the whole episode, was so good. And it
really was.
And it was fun too, like seeing Ahsoka in different ages and like kind of getting a better sense of like, it was such a different time period that she was coming up in, which it was a time of war. So like, you know, and seeing like a different kind of, I guess just a better explanation of the Jedi take on war.
Yeah.
Which was very much just like, hey,
accomplish the mission.
You're a soldier.
Yep.
And so you can't focus on this. And I think that plays so well into her character because she's never been kind of like, I mean, certainly she did her job as a soldier, but like to understand like the path that she ends up going on,
right?
To see that like, oh yeah, no, like that sense of doubt and things were always there with her was cool.
Yeah.
Was so cool. And it added a lot of depth. Like that was like kind of like the one instance I felt like where the series did a great job of adding to her lore, and I would have liked to have seen more of that.
Yeah.
And just focus more on Ahsoka, because like her character is super unique in a lot of ways,
and really nuanced too.
Yeah.
Like well developed.
Right.
So that's what gives me hope for the future of it too.
Yeah.
That real quick, just the scenes with Hayden Christensen, like that scene where they're like, it's clearly the Clone Wars, like things are just breaking down around them, and he has a conversation with Ahsoka, and then he runs into the fight, and in the like a bomb explodes off in the distance, and in that you see the Vader shadow.
Yeah.
It's like, oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah.
And like
so
it's
good.
such a quick little thing, but it's her realizing that in this moment, this is what this person becomes, and I still have to follow him, because this is how this works right now.
Right.
God, so good.
And then they did it again, like towards the end, where he's walking at her.
Yeah.
And they do it again. Like there's a flash, and he turns, and
Yeah.
and even like the voice like goes in and out.
Yep.
Like he goes into James Earl Jones and comes back.
Yeah,
Like,
it's so good. And I love that. I love that for him as an actor.
Yeah.
That he gets to also like play with this character again, that unfortunately, like for a myriad of reasons, has not really given him the career that I think maybe he could have had.
Well, not even the career, but like just like the crap that he had to take for a long time.
Right.
Of, just that nobody hates Star Wars like Star Wars fans
Correct.
do. That he got a lot of that, also.
Well, and a lot of it, I think it's direct. Exactly.
For him to get the chance to come back and be so well loved and appreciated.
Yeah.
And everybody's so thankful that he did it, is awesome too.
And I hope that he is able to do more. Whether it's, I don't think like a whole series, or I don't think anything like that, but like he's able to do more things like that. More like quick little reprisals and like cameo kind of things. I think that's worth it.
Yeah.
Well, you got anything else?
No, and I think that's where well, I guess I do. That's where I land on it. Is like I thought it was okay. Like I thought it was interesting. Like I really did. I was disappointed how they ended it, which was just completely open ended.
Sure.
Like there was really no resolution to anything. We just have more questions. Like I don't feel like at any point. I guess if you want to say like the mission to find Ezra was accomplished, but then Ezra leaves, and we leave Ahsoka and Sabine back in the other galaxy. So like I don't know, like nothing had any kind of a we accomplished this feeling to it.
Right.
It was just everything. Just like it feels like okay, when are the next 8 episodes?
Yeah.
So that was kind of frustrating, but just overall, I thought it was like not underwhelming. I thought it was fine. I don't want to give it like a bad remark because there was some fun stuff in it, but overall, it was like it was kind of more of like a J.J. Abrams take of like here's a bunch of teases, of things that are gonna happen and might happen, and we might use this, but we may never ever talk about that shit again,
right?
Kind of stuff
I
feel like. I hope to see where all this goes. I'm interested, but right now it was like, okay, that was good. Give me more. Yeah,
I see that perspective. Well, similar, but on the positive end. Like I like what they did with this character. I like what they did with the series of as a whole. But I'm also like, okay, where are you gonna go?
Right.
Because again, you presented to me this storyline with a mission that we accomplished, but then you've now introduced like
botched it.
You're right. Like this is not the end, and I'm okay with that, except for the problem with these series is that there's so much time in between them because Disney is so guarded right now with like, let's just make this stuff. They're not doing that. So by the time we get Ahsoka season 2, like, we're like 3 years away.
Yeah,
exactly. So it's like,
especially with the strike.
Gosh, even more so now. Yeah. You got anything else?
No, that'll do it.
Okay.
You can use of that what needs to be used.
Yeah, I will.
You can chop it all up.
We want to know, what do you think about the most recent Star Wars series, Ahsoka?
Absolutely, yeah. What were your thoughts on it? Let us know.
Are you happy that there's no Tatooine? Because I am.
You got to be. It's got to be universal. Nobody's looking forward to going back. Nobody's got to be looking forward to going back to Tatooine anytime soon. No. We've seen it all.
Ain't no stretch
about
of that saying that.
I don't care about Mos Eisley.
Nah.
I don't care about any of those places.
Most nothing.
Yeah.
I don't need any most.
Yeah. Then got all of it. Need less. Less Espa. Less Isley.
Correct.
Give me that.
Correct. And we also want to know, what do you think about the W.D. O'Connell single malt Irish whiskey exclusive carryout Killarney 20th anniversary edition?
We've got one listener that'll listen to this and be like, yeah, no, I've had it.
Yeah.
Because I made it.
I'm really excited for W.D. O'Connell and what Dahi's doing with the brand and what the their team is doing as a whole too.
Yeah, I just wish we were closer.
Well, we're close in our hearts.
Indeed. But, I would love to have the experience you had.
Yeah.
Of getting to go over there and like seeing the whole thing and like getting little insights into the process. Cause,
listen, 6-hour flight. Just letting you know. It's not that bad.
Was it just 6 hours?
Yeah, ish. 6-ish hours.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how time works.
My flights were longer than that.
I don't know how time works.
Save a lot taking off from Dublin than you do from London, I guess.
It's a whole
way
4 hours.
Way closer.
Well, you went from London to Orlando. I went from Dublin to Boston.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Well, you can get in touch with us through email. It's drepandstone@gmail.com. You can also get in touch with us through social media.
It's always one word, Drep and Stone, DREPN Stone. Come find us where you like to socialize your media, and we'll socialize right back at you.
Absolutely. There's a lot of really cool stuff going on social media. We post there more than we'd like, but less than we should.
I like that.
It's a little Bilbo Baggins sort of kind of reference there for you.
11-1.
Yeah, exactly. And we'd love it if you support the podcast. You can do so through our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/drepandstone. Helps keep the fan working when it's not like nice out.
Yeah.
It helps keep the recording machine recording.
Yeah.
And the drinks flowing.
There you go.
You can also support the podcast by rating Drep and Stone wherever it is you find great podcasts like this one. And finally, Kyle.
Yeah.
You can support Drep and Stone.
Yeah.
By telling someone.
Yeah.
About
easy.
Drep and Stone.
That's a nice, easy one.
Yeah. Here in the next week or two, you might be out with your youngins.
Out and about.
Yeah. Trick or treat.
Yeah.
And we all know what you got in that opaque cup, aluminum
Your
or
tumbler.
plastic. Your tumbler.
Yeah.
We know what you got in there.
Yeah.
And other people do too. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's booze.
Yeah.
Booze.
Gotcha. No, I gotcha. And so if you see another adult with a tumbler, you can say to them, hey, you see this sticker that I got on my tumbler?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, uh-huh. Like, do you know who this is? And they're like, I don't. And you yell at them and embarrass them in front of the entire neighborhood. Mm. No, don't do that. That's not friendly.
Yeah, that probably won't
no.
work out for us.
You tell them and every neighborhood adult around you that this is a Drep and Stone sticker.
Right.
And they're like, okay, who is Drep and Stone? And you inform them of Drep and Stone.
Love it.
Pretty easy.
Yep. No way that doesn't work.
No. Well, unless you don't have a sticker.
That's true.
And you know how you can get a sticker?
How's that?
You can reach out to us.
Oh, cool.
You can find it on Patreon.
Yep.
And we can hook you up a sticker.
Yeah.
You just got to let us know.
Get you that sticker.
Get you that sticker.
Get
That's
you
not
that
what
sticker.
I heard. Get your ass here. That's what I heard.
Get your ass here.
Get your ass here?
Get your ass here.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
May your glass overflow.
And your ass never show. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
Cut the check. You know, like Payday.
Yeah. Now I'm with you.
Cut the check.
I played that as a kid. Payday. Yeah.
Payday.
Or is that a bar?
That's a bar. That's a camera.
I've just created a lot of work for myself.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. No, it'll be okay. It'll be fine.
All right. It's going to take too long to figure it out. They're not giving up that information easily. Chunky.
Yeah. Look at this thing. Look through the. It's got chunky bits. That's my nickname in college. Better.
You're breathing into the microphone. Yeah.
Well, I'll get all your
Life insurance paperwork out. When you came back, where did you land?
Boston.
Oh, that's right.
So, but your flight is a
So
domestic.
you just got off just like as if you had flown from here to Boston.
Yep, your flight's a domestic flight.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's actually super cool. I'm gonna have a conversation with it first.
Yeah.
Hello, world.